newer NGO or newer entrepreneurship by Ms. Taling Kevonyan from Melina's Garden.
There's no particular order, just every 2 minutes, I guess. Okay, well, hello, good day. Thank you for the introduction. I am honored to be present today on this prestigious panel to share my experience with you of how each one of us has the potential of empowering women through small or large partnerships. How a small seed, an individual idea, has the power to affect change in the lives of many, not only in Armenia, but one that can be applicable on a global scale. When I was initially asked to participate on this panel, to be honest, at first glance I was unsure of that my work of sourcing domestically grown quinoa and introducing it to a new market fit the bill. But with a closer look, finding the best business practices, I realized that yes, Melina's Garden is working with women in remote areas of Armenia, helping them find alternate sources of income and encouraging creative problem solving. To start, I would like to get a bit personal with you. My grandmother passed away this past month at the ripe age of 94. She was a hardworking woman who became a seamstress after her husband passed away about 45 years ago. She migrated her family from a war-torn Syria to a war-torn Lebanon to eventually find safety in the United States. I bring this up because right when I needed to make a decision to participate on this panel, she passed away. My grandmother Meline lent her namesake to this company. She was a lifelong member of the Armenian Relief Society. She even actually received an award last year for all of the work that she's been doing. This, in conjunction with the co-sponsorship of the ARS on this panel, was kind of a sign to let her tell me to face my fears and hesitations and participate. I got 7 minutes. And so I stand here before you to represent and nourish her memory, my mother, myself, and for the generation of women to come. I'm a diasporan Armenian. I was raised in Los Angeles. My family left again Lebanon to come to America. I attended a private Armenian school where lessons about my heritage and culture were embedded in the curriculum. I attended and completed degrees in higher education, specializing in one form or another of international development, always believing that my future path would incorporate an international organization where I would work in the region. I worked for an NGO in Washington, D.C. that implemented programs, professional exchange programs for the State Department. As you can see, there's no background in farming. My first trip to Armenia was in 1996, and that's when I finally felt a personal sense of belonging. All those years spent wondering why my parents are making such an effort for me to preserve my heritage finally made sense. Over the course of 20 years, I lived, visited, volunteered, and worked in Armenia, constantly trying to find something that would give me a reason to return to my homeland. My inspiration came from the advantage of having been exposed to various lifestyles and habits in the United States and Europe. Local sourcing, farm to table, organic, these were all becoming buzzwords. A return to small farms was gaining a momentum as well as a return to ancient grains. I noticed a small, nutritious pseudo-grain taking over supermarkets, restaurant menus, and being substituted in meals that traditionally asked for other grains such as rice or bulgur. Those who followed a healthy lifestyle were raving about the positive benefits of consuming this superfood called quinoa. After I started to incorporate it into my personal diet and noticed the benefits, the wheels started turning. The adaptive qualities of the seed, the similarities of Armenia's climate to regions of South America where it's originally from, the nutritional benefits that would help a country whose diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol were on the rise, the advantage of entering a new market, the manual labor needed to work on the farms, teaching local farmers how to be sustainable, organic, increasing the living standards of those involved. These were all factors that decided that this small grain would be what would take me back to Armenia. Fortunately, a strain of quinoa, although inedible, is already prevalent in Armenia. So at least I knew that I had the potential to cultivate it. Initially, when I approached the contact in the village to recruit locals to work the first test field, I was told that hireable men would be a bit busy. They got their own land to work on. So after some discussion, we decided that we would employ the women of the village. The $10 a day was actually, enticing. So because, loans, debts, credits, these are all things that burden the present-day Armenian citizen. The constant want for a better life has them taking out loans on high interest rates. They fault on their payments. They apply for another loan to cover the first loan. So unfortunately, this pushes them to seek avenues just to make those payments and doesn't allow them to take a little bit of a glance to the future for more long-term solutions. Empowering women with a daily wage allows them to start off small. Pay the local vendor for their groceries last week. Buy a few extra minutes on their prepaid phone cards. Women tend to be responsible for allocating the family's limited funding. They are resourceful, they are powerful, and more importantly, they are open to try new means of hopes of securing stable income for the family. Ultimately, all this worked out towards the business's benefit. Women proved to be more efficient at manually planting the small quinoa seeds since they were used to doing a similar work for their herb gardens. They did not shy away from the long work days, nor complain about the physical labor needed to plant these minuscule seeds into the soil. In areas where education is a privilege, not a right, these women can rely on traditional methods of working with the land to sustain their household, an avenue of income that is unfortunately being disregarded. A common grievance that I hear is, with the rise of technology in the 21st century, Armenia is left behind. I mean, how are we supposed to catch up with the rest of the world? What's this Instagram people are talking about, And then I present them with quinoa, and I explain to them that the 21st century's grain economy is being dominated, seriously dominated, by this minuscule seed that has roots and dates back to over 3,000 years. And it is grown in some of the most remotest parts of the world in South America and high mountain regions, whatever it may be. This renews hope in them. And the aim of Melina's Garden is a return to Armenia's historical agricultural roots. There is no shame or inferiority in working with their hands in the soil. By doing so, we are not only able to provide for those we care for the most, but take strides in agricultural sector that has proven capable of rising societies and a country's economy. Creating something new is the easy part. Creating something that lasts is the challenge. Through the help of current partners here, abroad, and organizations such as the UN, I can facilitate the budding of small businesses stretching from short assistance to long-term solutions. But none of this happens overnight. Patience is needed to see this growth. Fortunately, women have that patience to see their businesses grow. Right? So they have the long-term goals, but sometimes need the short-term assistance just to start the process. I mean, doesn't every small business? They don't lack vision, they don't lack practical skills, they do lack the opportunities. And these opportunities come in partnerships, strength in numbers. Time and time again, I observe women reaching out to other members in their community when resources they possess fall short of actually completing the task at hand. Whether it's borrowing a cup of sugar to complete baking a cake, whether it's taking care of their neighbor's child while their matriarch attends a workshop, or even splitting up a pair of gloves, one glove per person, so they can protect a hand while working the soil. These familiar partnerships open the avenue for other cooperations. They provide the women the confidence to move from their usual to the more exotic. Partnerships are key to growth. When a community of like-minded individuals come together to work towards a greater cause, that's when a large movement takes over the globe. When women come together in communities, that force becomes unstoppable. In Melina's Garden's particular case, the inclusion of women in the daily workings of the company was not a charitable resolution, but a good business decision. due to their approach to work. Melina's Garden began by taking a step into the unknown. I approached professors at the Agricultural Institute of Armenia, consulted other quinoa farmers on LinkedIn. I got in touch with local businessmen to see if this was a possibility, if they would be open to it. Presently, we are working with a local organization to help identify interested farmers and to find viable soil in various regions of Armenia to continue the production. And for the future, well, joint partnerships, collaborations with corporations are necessary to increase productivity, not only of quinoa, but also of other locally sourced products, which in turn will grow the workforce. Partners are needed that can help secure additional funding, increase yields, guide us towards creating an organic product, help scale up our production system, but most importantly, to continue the cycle to eventually encompass more vulnerable community members into our workings and raise global awareness. I leave for Armenia on Thursday to attend to these next steps. If any of my words have resonated with you today, please feel free to get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Tallene.